everyone. Thank you for checking out my YouTube channel today, the Study of Antiquity and the Middle Ages. As always, I'm your host, Nick Barksdale, but today we are joined by a very special guest, new to YouTube, has some awesome content. You need to check it out. And we are joined today by Seth. Seth, thank you so much for coming on today.
Nick, thanks for having me. It's an honor to follow in the footsteps of Eric Klein. I believe he was the last guest you had, right?
He was.
Quite an honor, quite an honor.
Seth has a channel that I find absolutely fascinating, and that is World History by a Jew. Check out the link in the video description below, and you're going to be taken to his channel where you can see the videos that they're doing. They're really interesting. If you enjoy religious history, if you enjoy Jewish perspectives on history, this is the channel for you. I really like it, and I hope you do as well. Many of you enjoyed the lectures that I put out by Dr. Gore, and I'm hoping you also enjoy this one as well. Before you tell us about the lecture, would you mind telling us a little bit about yourself and your channel?
Sure. So first of all, let me tell you a little bit about World History by a Jew. It's brand new to YouTube, but it's a lecture series that I've been doing for a couple years now. It was originally designed to be in-person speaking engagements, and I never really wanted to be on camera. So I would speak at synagogues. I've spoken to church groups. I've spoken to various Jewish community events, and the idea is we're going to take an event in secular history, so name it, the American Revolution. And I'm going to take you through the American Revolution in just in one sense in the straight history. At the same time, though, I'm going to kind of spin it around and give it the Jewish take. How are Jews involved? What was the impact on Jews, not only, we'll say, in our example in the United States, but also worldwide once America came into being. And the idea of these lectures is, okay, I don't need to do the speaking professionally. I'm not asking for pay. I'm doing it for charity. I do it for tzedakah. I just want to spread the knowledge and try to make it kind of a fun way of learning for people and an unusual way of doing it. It happened by accident. Actually, I've always read a lot about history, and as my kids were getting older, instead of reading books to them, I would tell them history. And I would pick a topic and go with it. And enough friends started hearing me do it that they told me I should speak for adults. One individual, I just want to mention two names. One, Alex Vayner, a good friend of mine who kept pushing me to speak publicly. And then the rabbi of my synagogue said I should speak, but it should just be about Jewish stuff. Great, you should speak. Speak at our synagogue, but it needs to be about Jewish stuff. So I merged those two ideas, and that's how it became World History by a Jew. So I initially just spoke, as I said, in public gatherings. I did try a little bit of YouTube before, and this was through a YouTube channel called Digital Hammurabi. Anyone who's a fan of ancient Mesopotamia has to know their channel. If you've never been to Digital Hammurabi, you want to know about ancient Mesopotamia, you have to go to their channel. I did a few odd videos for them here and there, but then I just went back to where I'm more comfortable. I'm used to public speaking. I like interacting with my audience. I like seeing faces when I speak. If I see people starting to do this, then I change the subject. If I see people doing this, I'll drill down on the subject. But that's just the way I've always been. And then coronavirus hit. And once coronavirus hit, the world got flipped upside down, and so did my strategy for lectures. I first just started doing Zoom lectures, and I put a couple of them on the YouTube. You'll see it's just really me talking with the camera, showing a few pictures. Those are the first two lectures. But then I added a PowerPoint component to it, starting with the third lecture. And I decided at this point that I was putting this effort in, let's just go for the YouTube channel. My only experience was Digital Hammurabi, but I kind of saw what they did and figured maybe I can do the same thing. So now, it's a very long-winded way of answering your question. My topic of choice was Egypt. And what I've really done in the lectures, including the first two that I said aren't as, don't have all the bells and whistles, but if you go through these 6 or 7 lectures on ancient Egypt, you're going to learn pretty much anything you need to know about Egypt from about 3000 BC to about 1200 BC. And that means the Old Kingdom, the Middle Kingdom, the New Kingdom, the intermediate periods, And what I've now done is then taking that information and put a Jewish perspective on it. And the most famous event, the one that's definitely going to generate the most attention, and I knew that going in, would be talking about the archaeology of the Exodus. So I picked that as the premiere video for the channel intentionally. And what I've done is taken the actual archaeology, what we know from Jewish tradition, and I've merged the two, and it's really amazing how much is reinforced when you look at the archaeology of ancient Egypt. And I'm not going to claim that there's a smoking gun, but definitely if you look at over the course of that lecture, it's a little over an hour long, but I drop clues along through the lecture as I talk about Egyptian history, and towards the end, all those clues come together to give you one coherent story. Now, are you going to walk away going, did the Exodus really happen? Yes, maybe not. But if you ask, could the Exodus really happen? You will emphatically be able to say yes after watching the lecture. And that's what I was going for. But there's another lecture on Abraham and his experiences in Egypt, which are not well known. In fact, there's almost nothing on it on YouTube. And I found that's been second only to the Exodus in views. Joseph as well. Joseph has quite a connection to Egypt. Right now, the current it's a two-part lecture on King Tut and the origin of the Hebrews. And so, as you can see, here it is, King Tut is my star. Before I was telling you Joseph and Abraham. So my point is, I jump back and forth between the two. And so you'll get that, the secular take, the non-Jewish take, but again, I'm telling it from a Jewish point of view. And that's why I found that my audiences have been varied, and they're not always Jewish, Christians as well, atheists as well. It's just really about sharing knowledge. I'm not judging who views it or doesn't view it. I just want people to enjoy it.
What you're about to watch is not only theoretically, when it comes to literature, one of the greatest events in human history, but also one of the most debated events in human history as to whether or not this event actually occurred. And that is the Exodus. What makes this interesting is it's not just, is there archaeological proof for the Exodus, but it also gives you a Jewish perspective on this as well, which is something that I believe is equally important in this. Now, what makes this even more interesting is that, as many of you know, I am an atheist. It's not a shock. Anybody who watches my channel, they know that I cover all religions because I love it. I love studying religion, but I'm also an atheist, and that's my choice. But I don't view the Bible and a variety of other religious texts the way a lot of my fellow atheists do. I'm very open-minded, and I approach it. I try to separate what I consider to be fiction that many people would not consider to be fiction from what I would call fact. And the Exodus is something that I've always found interesting. If any of you are familiar with Dr. Bob Breyer, he actually has a stance that I've always actually held to as well, that I discovered whenever he was lecturing when I was a teen. And that is, even if the Exodus didn't happen, even if whoever wrote that story, who told that story, was intimately familiar with ancient Egypt and its society and its viewpoints and its people. And so that's something that you can't discount. Now, whether or not it happened, you decide what you think by commenting your thoughts below after watching this presentation. A history told by a Jew, listened to by an atheist, and whoever you may be as well. So sit back, relax, enjoy this presentation. Don't forget to check out the links in the video description below. Give Seth your complete support, but also don't forget to comment your thoughts below. Do you believe it happened? Are you 50-50? Or is it straight up no? But whatever answer you give, explain it. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much. Seth, thank you for coming on today.
Thank you, Nick.
All of you have a wonderful evening.
Hi, welcome to World History by a Jew. I'm your host and lecturer, Seth Fleischman.